Everybody give it up for Clint Hall.
Don't start.
This is exciting. Got the big show. My father-in-law's birthday. Happy birthday, John. That one was mine. Thanks. Apologize, I'm usually a little more subdued. Actually, the first piece of advice I got when I started comedy was that the most successful comedians, when they're on stage, are just themselves with the volume turned way up. So this is me with the volume turned way up. I am excited to be here this evening, though, because although I love my family and I like the day job, I live with my wife and 3 teenage daughters. I work in an office, just me and 5 women. And this is the longest in 6 months that I've been able to speak continuously. True. A little bit about myself. I am from just down 231. I do live over in Dale, Indiana, which is a small town, and like most small communities, it's a little bit different. The funeral director is also the taxidermist. Sometimes it gets confused, like my grandfather's funeral, Grams was like this. The police department also keeps office hours. It's like Dale, Indiana, tough on crime until 6. Still, you couldn't have a show like Law and Order set there. Be like, Law and Order, Dale. Do you have a description of the suspect? Yeah, it was Earl. The only suspense would be Big Earl or Little Earl. I have kind of a reputation over home as kind of a social climber, somewhat of a gold digger, just because my in-laws happen to own the trailer park. Here to tell you, Angie, I married you for love. It wasn't just a prestige. Thank you. I don't know how many of you have a problem with this, but over there in Dale where I live, we're right on the timeline. You know, right where I live, literally right here, where I live is Central Time or Slow Time, and right there is Eastern Time, Fast Time. And half the people I know live on one side, half live on the other. And every time we try and get together, it's always a big hassle. It's like your time, my time, our time, sometime. But I was coming over to Jasper the other day, and I called a friend who lives in Huntingburg, and I said, hey, I'm running to Jasper. I'll pick you up in a half hour. And he asked me, is that a half hour my time? I'm pretty sure whether you're on fast time or slow time, it actually passes at the same rate. Of course, before I got into comedy, I was a professional wrestler. That's not the joke part, man. But I had the long hair and the pink spandex tights. I've cut the hair, but I'm actually wearing the tights under here right now. Sometimes a guy just wants to feel pretty. My ring name was obviously Mr. Fitness. And people hear professional wrestler and they see me, they all jump to the same assumption, steroids. I'm here to tell you, ladies, this is 100% pure American beef. you want better muscle definition than this, you're going to have to look one up in a medical dictionary. Actually, I had somebody ask me after a show recently, they're like, I don't believe you. Were you really a wrestler? So I hit him with a steel chair and choked him out. Well, at least they believe me now, according to the court papers. All I'm saying is don't ask a question if you don't really want to know the answer. And I don't know if you can tell by looking at me. I watch the Science Channel a lot, and I was watching a show on there the other day about this guy scientists have found who was mummified 5,000 years ago when he was trapped by a glacier. And now scientists are basing everything they know about what people wore, what they ate, how they lived in that area of Europe at that time on this one guy. I don't know about you, but 5,000 years from now, I don't want to be that guy. I mean, what if it's Halloween when I get run over by a glacier? And because of me, they think we all lived on candy corn and dressed like Tim Curry in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It seemed like a good costume at the time. And I also saw there a show about the country of India, where I learned that there are over 20 languages in the country of India spoken by at least 1 million people. And you think it's hard getting anything done on the phone here. How would you like to deal with that? For Urdu, press 1-8. For Bengali, press 1-9. Still not me. While I was watching that, there was a commercial for a show about dinosaurs that said advances in genetic research may allow scientists to bring dinosaurs back to life in an unusual way. I didn't even know there was a usual way. Speaking of commercials, you ever notice anytime there's a commercial on TV that's got any kind of stunt in it at all, it has a disclaimer at the bottom for you to read, it says do not attempt. I got a feeling anybody that would consider jumping from a building on top of a moving semi to be remotely a good idea is not real big on reading. And I saw another commercial for the Mega T diet supplement, and it said, what are you going to do about your muffin top? So much for weight loss, now I want muffins. My wife and I, we celebrated our anniversary recently. So we went bowling. Because I live like a rock star. I'm not a total dork, it was a low bowl. And besides, it was the same alley where I did propose.
Yeah.
Bowling's not really my sport, though. I mean, we got there and somebody asked my wife, and I said, what's your handicap? And she just said, him. And she's right. I mean, you know that little picture that comes up on the screen suggesting where you should put your next ball? After my 6th frame, it just showed my hall closet. I wasn't the only one struggling, though. I mean, the guy on the lane next to us by his 3rd game, and I'd say 10th beer, just wasn't picking up those spares like he had been. He's like, I don't understand it. What am I doing different? I'm like, I don't know. I don't see anything other than the stagger. Takes a minute. I also found out anytime somebody picks up a spare, everybody in the alley is supposed to slap them 5, and some people can be pretty aggressive about making sure they get their kudos. Like this one guy was like, come on, man, I just picked up my spare. I'm like, great, why is your hand under my stall? I just became a grandfather for the first time recently. My sexy just went through and I was on the couch at home, and I got the call, and I had this uncontrollable urge build up to me. I just jumped up and I ran outside and I screamed, "You kids, get off my lawn!" You know, some of some of the young folks out there that are out partying and drinking, looking for happiness, looking for a good time. And let me tell you, there is nothing on earth like holding your own grandbaby in your arms to make you feel old. So keep doing that other stuff as long as you can. Here's a random thought. I wonder sometimes how music would be different if Jimi Hendrix had really fallen in love with the cello. I mean, rock and roll wouldn't be as cool, but classical would be awesome. And I've also read that Beethoven, in addition to being a famous composer, was a very gifted piano player, and I find it very unfair that we'll never know exactly what he sounded like, but from now until the end of time, we'll know exactly what Justin Bieber sounds like. And I also, Charles Darwin is famous for his belief that humans are at the top of the food chain based on the survival of the fittest, that we are the fittest, most able creatures on the planet. And I wonder how steadfastly he held that belief after an afternoon at Walmart. On the subject of I'm sorry, I lost my place. Right, okay. Sorry. I am not a hunter myself. I don't hunt. I don't like any sport my opponent is not aware they're playing. But I found out recently that in the state of Indiana, if you pay the money to purchase the appropriate license, that it is legal to hunt skunk. Why? One more, I can get Louise that fur coat she always wanted. She'll finally be my own. And speaking of true love, I was at the Dollar General the other day, and there on their clearance rack, they had reduced condoms for sale. Fellas, if there's ever an item you should just pay full price for, on principle, that would be it. It's not like she's going to be saying, I wasn't going to sleep with him at all, but he's so price conscious. Who's in the market for those things anyway? Look at that price, we can finally afford to do this thing. I mean, if you're going to rely on the discount condoms at the Dollar General, you might as well go ahead and get one of the pregnancy tests out at the Dollar Tree. I mean, speaking of the Dollar Tree, did you know that now they have gift cards for purchase at the Dollar Tree? There's not a better way to say, I like you a very little bit. I actually told my wife that joke, and she said, I'd like one of those. So, I got her birthday taken care of. I don't know what it is about me, but people seem to feel perfectly comfortable at any time come up and tell me exactly what they think about my appearance. I was at a show recently, all in one ego-boosting night. I was informed by people I thought were my friends that I looked like Lurch, Jeffrey Dahmer, or the love child of Garrison Keillor and Stephen King. And that reminds me, I'd like to ask your opinion on something since we're all BFFs forever now. I think this was supposed to be a compliment, but I'm not real sure. At that same show, a guy comes up to me and says, hey man, I really like that serial killer vibe you got going on. I was hoping it was more subtle. Especially with petite, long-haired blonde between the ages of 18 and 30. No, I have trouble with things people say sometimes. I'm sure we all do. But I have my biggest one. I hate when people use the phrase "worst case scenario" followed by something that's not remotely the worst case scenario. You know, like worst case scenario, I run into some traffic, I'll be late. No, that's a bad case scenario. Worst case scenario is more like worst case scenario, meteorite crashes through my windshield and plunges into my chest. I ramp off the interstate into an electric line and see cascading power failure across the eastern seaboard. That's more worst case. And another thing, people say, a friend of a friend recently was killed, unfortunately, in an accident. And my friend said, poor guy never even saw what hit him. So would it have been better if you'd have seen what hit him? Had a couple minutes to scream first? I've never heard anybody take solace by saying, thank God, at least he saw what hit him. And I was having trouble recently with anxiety, and I thought I should see somebody about it right after my wife said, you know, if you have any interest in staying married at all, you might want to see somebody about that. I apologize, I'm not really a prop guy, but the doctor gave me this medicine for the anxiety. And it comes with this handy little list of possible side effects. Wrote me back. If I didn't have anxiety before, I did by the time I finished reading this thing. And at the bottom it says, this is not a complete list. Thank you, everybody. I've been Clint Hall.
Everybody, give it up one more time for Clint Hall. Great job.